This is Force 13 Live. This is a briefing on the latest on Hurricane Dorian and Typhoon Lingling. This is live, and on the right hand side of our screen we can see that the storm is still progressing towards the coast of South Carolina. Some signs of weakening exhibited in the imagery. The storm's eye has been shrinking. The cloud tops have been gradually shrinking in size as well. Actually, it would appear that the storm is on its final throes as a category 3 at least, before it will at some point perhaps that eye wall structure in the eye will collapse and the storm will weaken more quickly. The very latest information is that Dorian is just 36 miles from land, 44 miles from Charleston, so hurricane force winds are possibly occurring in the vicinity, although the latest update from the National Hurricane Center is only suggesting that actually no, that has changed. In the previous hour, winds in Charleston were about 39 miles per hour. At the moment, a weather flow site at Chutes Folly in Charleston Harbor recently reported a wind gust of 73 miles per hour. The official observing site at the airport in North Myrtle Beach recently reported a wind gust of 61 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center at their 10 a.m. update advisory is putting the storm at 32.3 north, 79.2 degrees west, 115 mile per hour winds, and a pressure of 959 millibars. They have it moving north-northeast at 8 miles per hour. It is still moving much more north than east at this time though. So at the minute, I thought, well, the storm actually did do a jog towards the northeast. You can see it there in that earlier imagery, but in the later imagery, it's slalomed back again towards the north. And so, extrapolating that 6-hour track, we're looking at a north-northeast heading. I can't bring to you the latest radar on the screen, but I can see it for myself on one of my other panels, and I can tell you that the latest on the radar is that the central core, the inner eye wall of the storm, is just off the coast of South Carolina this hour. That is where the hurricane force winds will be contained. So it's going to be very close to see whether hurricane force winds occur in South Carolina or not. If the storm does shift northeast again, then it could possibly make landfall. Actually, we do have radar imagery because I'm now joined by Devon to join me in this update. There is that latest radar. And Devon, your observations?
Well, at this point in time, all I can really say is that Dorian definitely got more organized as it moved northward. So that I guess that doesn't really come as a surprise here. As we said, the storm was probably going to re-intensify to some degree as it moved over the Gulf Stream. It ended up doing that. Now it's back to being a major hurricane once again. The core of the storm is directly offshore, pretty much here. It's not too far away from Charleston and is currently moving just east of due north from what I can see here.
Yeah,
There are several tornado warnings
there are.
for the outer bands coming ashore to the north and east of Wilmington. So keep an eye out for that, as the tornado risk during this storm is going to be a little bit higher because this is interacting with a trough at this point, and that is going to cause the shear required to create the spin-ups. Obviously, the storm's also a lot larger, so that is also going to give you more of a chance to have tornadoes in this.
Yeah, just to read out these tornado warnings, Devon. The tornado warning for west central Onslow County and southeastern Duplin County in North Carolina. Also for central Jones and north central Onslow counties, and in Horry County in northeastern South Carolina. I think that's all of them. Yep, so that's 3 tornado warnings that are currently in effect, and also to read out flash flood warnings that are now in effect as well. These were issued generally in the last 2 hours. Flash flood warning for north central Georgetown County, southwestern Horry County, south central Marion County, and east central Williamsburg County until 11:30 a.m. this morning. Also for northeastern Georgetown County and south central Horry County till 10:15, so that's about to end. And another one that was issued most recently at 9:59. There is a flash flood warning for Charleston County, Berkeley County, and Dorchester County until 1:15 p.m. Now, looking at radar estimates, the amount of rainfall that has fallen over the Charleston area east to Georgetown, to drawing a line really from Charleston to Georgetown, generally we're looking at about 5 inches of rain having fallen there so far. Devon, is that in line with what we'd expect?
I remember correctly, the rainfall forecast was 5 to 8 inches, and this storm is supposed to accelerate as it moves to the north-northeast, so I could see another 3 to 4 inches fall.
Yeah, and also there is some significant rainfall occurring in the Florence area as well, from what I can see. Storm total estimates now up to 4 inches for that area just southwest of Florence. So this is a developing situation with Dorian, obviously, and it is something we're continuing to watch throughout these morning hours. It's been a crazy experience to be tracking this storm. I'm not sure what there is to say about anything else to do with that, but we are
this
witnessing
storm,
the later parts of Dorian at this point.
Yeah, this storm's just been a nightmare to keep track of. But thankfully, the storm's probably on its last leg now. Probably won't last a lot longer than another 3 days. This storm's just going to linger here for a little bit, and then it should be past the Carolinas, I think, in 36 hours. If I remember correctly, from the cone.
Yeah, I think so.
Like at least a large majority of the storm should be clear of both of the Carolinas within 36 hours. So a lot better than staying in one place for 36 hours, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are looking at about 36 hours before it. In some places 24, but we are getting it is speeding up in movement as well.
Well, that's definitely a good thing. Do we have any storm surge totals?
Storm surge observations? I
Yes.
don't know so far. What I can tell you at the minute is that there is a storm surge warning for the Savannah River to Pocatello, Virginia, Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds, the Neuse and Pamlico Rivers, and Hampton Roads. Also, to point out, obviously we've got the hurricane and tropical storm warnings, which have been in place for some time, but a tropical storm watch now for parts of Massachusetts, Devon.
Yep, this storm should come close enough to Cape Cod to produce some very gusty winds, definitely some strong rip currents, and potentially even some sustained winds of tropical storm strength. Get some rainfall from this as well. So definitely, if you're planning a beach trip out to Cape Cod or the islands off the coast there of Massachusetts, and even anywhere along the New England coast there, really, the rip current should be pretty strong. So I would suggest not going into the water, especially this weekend, especially Friday going into Saturday. I would not suggest getting into the water along the New England Atlantic coasts.
Elsewhere around the world, we are also pointing out Hurricane Juliet, which is weakening out in the eastern Pacific, 90 miles per hour, Category 1. Gabrielle in the Atlantic is a tropical storm, rather exposed, I must say, so that's going to struggle for the next day or two. But Lingling is the main feature elsewhere. Lingling pretty much moved over Miyakojima during the day yesterday, I think it was. And now it is entering the East China Sea, an extremely powerful typhoon. Around 150 miles per hour is the intensity that we're putting on that. Heavy rain warning in effect for the northern tip of Taiwan. Typhoon warnings up to Okinawa. And also a yellow typhoon warning for parts of coastal Zhejiang, I think it is. I can't remember the Chinese names. I've probably fused one together with another there. But the Shanghai area could be at risk for tropical storm conditions, perhaps if the storm veers west a little bit. And for the Korean Peninsula, we could see typhoon conditions over the weekend as it continues northwards. So that is something we're watching out for as well. Also, Tropical Storm Faxai has been named by the Japanese Meteorological Agency, and that could be a long-range threat to Japan in the next 5 days. It could strike there as a significant typhoon. So the tropics aren't stopping at this time of year. The Atlantic peak of hurricane season is September 10th generally. In the Western Pacific, we've just passed the peak, climatologically speaking, on average, August 31st. And in the Eastern Pacific, I think it's earlier, isn't it?
Yeah, if I remember correct, climatological peak for the Atlantic hurricane season is September the 10th.
Yeah.
So we are approaching that.
I think it is a little earlier in the Eastern Pacific, though, but I can't remember the date for that one, mainly because we don't really need to follow the Eastern Pacific quite so much. And we're keeping on top of this situation right now. So you heard about those tornado warnings that are in effect, mainly for North Carolina, but a few extending into South Carolina now. I believe Jacksonville was under a tornado warning not so long ago as well. And Devon, I think maybe 1 or 2 reports we're getting of tornadoes that did reach the ground. I'm not sure whether that's true or not just yet. Tornado watch remaining in effect for the whole area until 7 p.m. Eastern time for a lot of those areas. 4 or 7 depending on where exactly you are. Further north it'll be till 7.
And that'll be pretty much for the course as the outer bands continue to move ashore here again, because this thing is getting picked up by a trough, which means that there's going to be adequate shear to produce these tornadoes.
Along with those flash flood warnings along the coast, we got to point out some regular flood warnings as well. There are quite a few of them across North and South Carolina this morning. I'm just getting the list. From Wilmington, they've issued a flood warning for the lumber near Lumberton, affecting Robeson County. Little PD at Gallivant's Ferry, affecting Dillon, Horry and Marion counties, and Black Creek at Quinby, affecting Darlington and Florence counties. Forecast flooding changed from moderate to major severity for those rivers, I believe. Oh no, for these following rivers. The Northeast Cape Fear near Burgore, affecting Pender County, and the Wackamore, I always keep making that mistake. Wackamore at Conway, affecting Horry County. Major severity for those 2 rivers. So for the lumber there, they're expecting, the flood stage is 13 feet, they're expecting 15.9. And I'm just trying to see some of those other ones, but I basically read out those warnings anyway. Flooding is likely for those areas. And just a reminder there for those flash flood warnings, which are in effect for quite some time for some of those counties in South Carolina, particularly this time. In fact, there's just been a few more updates. At 6 minutes past 10, there was a flash flood warning. I'm not sure if I did read this or not, but I'll read it again. Southwestern Brunswick County, Southern Columbus County, and Central Horry County. That is a new one, actually, until noon EDT. They're saying that 5 to 7 inches of rain has already fallen and additional rainfall is expected. So Conway, Little River, Red Hill, Iredell, Carolina Shores, Calabash, Hickory Grove, Homewood, Horry, Georgetown Technical College, Conway Campus, Adrian, Han, Nixonville, Wampy, Longs, Hammond, Coastal Carolina University, Goretown, Brooksville, Barefoot Landing area of North Myrtle Beach, and Seacoast Medical Center, all under a flash flood warning. Dangerous flooding is imminent or occurring in those areas, and the flash flood warning for northeastern Georgetown and south central Horry counties will expire at 10:15 because heavy rain has moved out of that area. So that's the very latest that we've got at this point, with those 3 tornado warnings also still in effect. Devon, we look back at the latest imagery on the infrared. eyewall weaknesses on the western side looking at the satellite, but in the latest imagery it's coming back again around the eye. This we've always been saying it. Is this the last burst from this storm? Oh, I'm sorry, he's gone. Well, that left me standing there, but there is the storm again moving generally towards the north-northeast. And we could be looking potentially towards its final throes at this time before it really starts, till the eye capitulates, and then it will weaken substantially more. To note that the eastern side of the storm's winds has shrunk in size. On the western side, it has the eastern side has expanded a bit. The western side has decreased a bit in size in terms of the wind field. So that is the latest on these two storms. Lingling, still a very powerful typhoon with winds of 150 miles per hour, pressure of 920 millibars we have on our estimates. It's going to be dangerous for the Korean Peninsula over this weekend. Dorian again moving towards the Carolinas. We're going to keep you updated with position estimates throughout the rest of today. Our next update on Dorian, our full update in a video format, will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, if you're in the area along the coast, definitely hunker down, and we'll have regular updates on our screen. We're going to throw you back to the automated stream now, just after this rather short briefing. There's not too much else to say. Those flash flood warnings and tornado warnings still continuing. Stay safe out there, and we'll be back a little bit later on.